definitely think like even just LA, they're tough people. They just kind of stand there and they don't move, and you feel like I'm pouring my fucking shit out to you. Like, move at least like a little bit or something. And it's funny, like you'll see them, they'll go see a band and stand there like this the whole time. But if somebody was playing it, like DJing it, they'd be dancing. It seems like overall, like it's just much more, it's embraced over Europe, and it's really difficult to get. I mean, something like tonight, like that just doesn't happen here.
I think remixes are definitely a vital asset to industrial music, because then it also brings a club friendliness to bands that really may not be a club band.
I enjoy remixing other people's stuff. I guess it's a good way especially for a band who doesn't get too much club play.
Any form of creating is awesome.
One of these, and you can get one of these for like, $70. But if you compare it to the old days where people would have to buy all this stuff in real hardware, form, it set you back $20,000-$30,000 or more, depending. You can do everything now for, I'd say, just even a flat grand. That's the beginning reason for what, like $200? To start you off. You always get upgrades, and you buy, other software like through Pink Noise and other things like that, and I mean, you really got it made. There's your band right there.
This has been built and perfected over about 5 years or so. So it's been one piece added here and one piece added there. If I kept track of how much money I've spent on this as opposed to how much I've made using it, it would be really depressing, so I just don't do the accounting. MIDI controller, all the software, soft synths are running on this little shuttle. So the computer is really a part of the band, but the computer is not driving the whole show. The computer is following us. So the master-slave relationship has changed around a little bit. You don't need the latest dual-core Intel-based Mac to actually start making music.
Most of these bands are actually animal rights activists, are actually very aware of conspiratorial information, news that's going on in the world that doesn't exactly hit what's chosen by big corporations to be on the news. It's actually, from my experience and my friends and the scene that I know, a bunch of very intellectual people who choose to use sort of a black stage drama to put out a lot of information.
Without the band, I don't know what I'd be doing. It was the most important thing I've ever done in my life. And I've been working in the corporate sector. I was a very, successful business person, and it wasn't satisfying for a lot of reasons. This is the most beneficial, most rewarding thing I've ever done. It's how it's presented, how people perceive it, what kind of music we make, what that message is. We endeavour our best to make sure that it's presented in the way that matches what our aims and ambitions are. I was probably about 4 years old. There was a track on in the charts called Popcorn's Heart Butter, and it was this little kind of synth pop song, I suppose. And for some reason it kind of really attracted me to it. So I was sort of running around the kitchen while my mum was cooking, and that's what got me into electronic music. After that, all through the 70s, because I'm a 37-year-old guy, I got to hear all things like Kraftwerk and Tangerine Dream and all the other stuff that was up and coming. In those days it was experimental, and it was new, and it was great. It was fun. Went into disco, went into experimental, went into everything. The band, the Human League, had their album Dare, and it went I'm not sure if it was number one here, but people were talking about, I think it was the Don't You Want Me single. It was the first totally electronic song at the top of the charts, totally using synthesizers, and people were astounded by this, like it was some big revolution, and for us it wasn't. Oh, most definitely. My lyrics are totally from my thoughts and feelings and experiences. When I released Praise the Fallen, Mark wasn't with us then, because he was a friend of mine, and he was added later as a live drummer, and then subsequently came in as a full member. But I never wanted to release the album. I did the album to document me, because I needed that. I just needed to say to myself, what am I? My friends convinced me to release it. I'm glad I did. Because I thought that there was maybe out of 1,000 sales, which is as much as I expected, there might be one person out there who'd say that there's someone else who thinks and feels like me. That number is incredibly different than what I'd imagined. It's vastly larger. And I've met people from all different backgrounds and cultures and beliefs and you name it. Thank you for that.
And customers don't know what it is, but then I see them going, and they're like, what's this? And I'm like, well, they played at these places. Like, oh my god, because they don't realize that it's actually good sounding stuff. They only think of this nasty Marilyn Manson as the epitome of what everything about this kind of culture is, not realizing there's actually talent.
I am fairly sure that I would have been black sheeped listening to the kind of music that I listen to now and dressing like I dress now, all in dark colors. Fairly certain that I would have been black sheep even more so, living where I was living back in Indiana. Not because it's a bad area or they're not open-minded. They're just extremely sensitive to change. I'm actually very thankful that I grew up in a small town. Growing up in a small town is an experience which I think everyone should live in. Change is something that is not very accepted unless it's accepted by the masses. It has to be spread throughout the masses. For instance, I did run across the occasional child that would dress in black, that would be very seclusive, and no one would really know what was going on through his head, and they kind of pawned him off as the town crazy. Growing up, my relationship with my parents was not the best. My father grew up in Indiana. He was raised in Indiana. It was impossible to talk to him about the city. My mother was raised in the city. However, it was very difficult to talk to her because she was trying to protect me from, the evil, the bad side of the city, the darkness of the city. However, I did go to a club one time in Detroit, which was about an hour and a half away, and it was supposed to be an industrial club. People standing around drinking beer, listening to, I wouldn't even call it dark music. Just in a dark club, just really doesn't constitute an industrial club. I went out to this club, and none of the girls really seemed to take me seriously, and blah blah. They really were into a skinny white boy, yada yada yada. But I was trying to be cool, didn't know what was wrong with me. And she knew of a place that we could go to. She quieted me, told me, just let me put you in some tight shorts and let me put some black eyeliner on you and put some boots on you. And dye your hair black. I'll take it in. The girls are gonna eat you up, love you. Didn't believe her, but gave it a shot. Went to Dungeon at Blue, and from the moment that I walked in, I could hear that rhythm, that beat, that feeling, that vibe that I had been looking for. I knew immediately that where I was, I wanted more of, because that was what I was searching for.
You know what? Fuck industrial, power noise, electronica. This is electronic shock pump, motherfuckers!
The foundation is my own. I've flown too high on borrowed wings. Everything came too easy. That is why I am here today.
You don't necessarily get to pick and choose your palette of colors that you use to create whatever it is you're going to be creating. Sometimes your environment dictates that, and sometimes just kind of what's happening around you.
It's totally a mix between the records that personally I was listening to, more electronic based stuff, early Human League, New Order, but my real only experience with seeing bands was going to see punk rock shows. And it's really just a combination of trying to wow, wouldn't it be great if there were bands actually performing with energy, using these types of sounds.
People seem to get it more when they see us live.
No, there's no huge sort of corporation behind us, like pressing some kind of image or sort of marketing campaign about what we do. We got a lot of people who were into us, were sort of discovered us when they were very young, and they go through the period of growing up, and some of them we never see again. Some we see 10 years later, and they say, they're excited, they're happy that we're there for them. Sort of old friends come back into the picture, but the perception of it, I think it depends on, we've never really been a part of a scene, or, hopefully it encourages people to sort of stick with their passions and things that they actually like. For some reason, we've sort of been given the impression that it's hard for us and it's hard for people to sort of get us in Europe.
In Europe, at least, electronic music is everywhere.
We're not electronic enough for Europe,
You know what I mean? It's this sort of idea that maybe the production isn't.
We're not club compatible.